Hey y'all, it's Joanna, and I love to DIY on a budget and make beautiful home decor. And if you like to sew, then catch me on Saturdays. Now, let's get crafty. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make this travel. It is a ironing mat and a cutting mat combined. Okay, I had to go to my daughter's because we had a baby. Well, I didn't have a baby. My daughter had a baby, and I had to babysit the grands. So I wanted to make something to go because I was going to make some bowl cozies and some what do you call those things that you put cups on? Cup things. Yeah, I don't know now, but anyway, whatever. So I've got my wool, I've got my piece of thin plywood, I've got my fabrics, of course, my fat quarters that I love so much. You can use one straight piece if you want to, that would work fine, but I just took two fat quarters and made mine, and that made me happy, so that's what I did. Now, I will tell y'all, I may mess up on this. I was winging it. I am not kidding. I was in a hurry, even though you'll see me dancing. I was in a hurry, and I was winging it with this thing. I had no idea what I was doing. I just seen them online when I was searching for them, and I thought, I cannot wait for this to get in the mail, so I'm just going to make one. I knew I could. It just, I didn't know what I was doing. So first of all, when you get your fabric, iron it. Okay. That will make it go a lot better. So go ahead and iron your fabric. And then I'm going to match these two selvage to selvage. And that's that little line on the edge there. And I'm just going to sew straight down that. Okay. Now I'm going to just take my tool and press my seam open. You can iron it, you can finger press it, whatever you want to do. I got that from the Dollar Tree, and I've had it for a hot minute. But anyway, now I'm going to take this, and I might mess up on some of this and have to redo it. And I'll just because I don't know. I didn't know what I was doing. I'll be honest with you. But I figured it out. I got it. As you see in the picture, I got it together. But so now I'm going to take this board, and I want to take, I didn't want it super thick, but I wanted some substance to it. So I'm just going to cut a piece around my board. Okay. And then when I get this, my scissors hit. So I'm going to take chalk, and I'm going to take a piece of chalk, and I'm going to trace around that wool blanket. I got this in my Amazon store. I'm almost positive. And I'll cut it out with my trace marks that I'm fixing to trace with a white chalk pencil. Okay, I'm all cut out, and what I'm going to do to keep this together is I'm going to take my spray adhesive, and this is just, Lord have mercy, so sorry about that. This is, I don't even know where I'm pointing at. This is just, oh my gosh, I love 505 spray, but this is Dritz quilt and basting spray. Y'all, I about lost it right there. I apologize. Anyway, I'm just going to spray each layer, Lord willing, and I'm going to push them together and tack that down, and this is just going to hold it until, I cannot get that mental image. I didn't know I looked like that, but anyway, until I get all these together just to hold them. Y'all, I'll get back in track in a minute. Okay, I'm back. So if y'all know me, I love the heavy duty aluminum foil over top of any of my ironing surfaces. That's just because it gives a barrier, okay? One, to reflect the heat back up at your ironing stuff, but it also gives you a barrier there so that you don't warp your board, or the board don't get wet if your iron happens to leak or something like that, or steaming. I do use steam quite a bit, so steaming, it won't warp my board. It's just protecting my board, and it reflects the heat back up. So I'm going to take, this was new, so it was a struggle to get that off, but I'm just going to take a pretty good chunk piece here. Pretty good chunk piece? Does that make sense? No, I don't think so either, but whatever. And I'm going to take this, and I'm also going to spray adhesive my board, and then I'll smooth that down. And then once I get that down, I'm going to take my layers here, and good God, I'm going to spray. I'm going to spray this and stick my mat to that. Oh my goodness, I'm so, so sorry. Anyway, y'all, I just decided, I thought, well, if I'm going to do this, I might as well video it. They might want to make one. And I didn't realize it. I didn't realize I moved so much in my stinking video. And, I just was working. I was just working, okay? So, yeah. So, I have this piece, and I did leave a place sewed right down those when I got my other piece on to give it some give when it folded, but you really don't need to. You can just butt it right up against there, or you don't have to have that much, but I want this on one side, okay, obviously. And then I'm going to make a place to put my my mat on the other side. So what I'm going to do, I've got this stiff, because the mat side needs to be stiffer. So this is a very, very stiff interfacing. I mean, like almost like cardboard type interfacing. So I'm going to stick that in the middle, and that's going to support my middle too. But like I said, you do not have to do that. And then this will be big enough to sit right there. So I'm going to cut my fabric down around my pieces here, and I'm going to leave a 1/2 inch all the way around for my seam allowance. A good 1/2 inch. You have to have a 1/2 inch. Okay, I'm attempting to show you this right now. Okay, I'm attempting to show you what my measurements are. They are 15 wide inches, 15 wide by 31.5 long. Now you can cut it 15.5 to get the length on fold, okay? But it's 31.5 long by 15 wide total. And this little Westcott mat came from Walmart. As far as I know, when I was there, they still had these. They're very handy. And this, like I said, for me making bowl cozies and what are those things that you put cups on? Why does that leave my brain? Why does stuff leave my brain when I know I need to know it at that time? But if I'm done editing, I won't even have to know it, and I'll know it. Coasters! Thank you, Lord. Coasters. I made coasters. Fabric coasters. But anyway, here's my piece, and I didn't want that long, so it's fuzzy. I'm gonna trim the fuzzies off, okay? But of course I gotta line it up perfect, because if it's not, then I think I can't do it. But anywho, I'm glad we don't have to be perfect, but I'm just gonna line it up, and I'm gonna cut my fuzzies off. Alright, and then this piece I have will now be used to make my backing piece. So one of the backing pieces is going to be this cute fat quarter right here. And this is all done with fat quarters. But like I said, you could do the front piece with just one solid piece. So I'm going to iron my fat quarter, because ironing them takes the wrinkles out, and then that makes your fat quarter the size that it needs to be. Whereas if you sew something that has wrinkles in it and then you iron it, it's going to be wonky, because it's not going to measure out right, because the wrinkles are going to pull it. So I iron my fabric, and then I'm going to take this down, and this is still folded in half at this point. So I only need to cut one. So I'm going to just put my half down here, and I'll cut one piece of this. And then I'll do the same with ironing fabric. Now, don't judge my ironing fabric, okay? It was used to begin with, where I made an ironing board. It's been a while back, and it has stains on it, because it was used for a long time. I'm talking years of my sewing. I used this, and it has stains on it. And it looks a little rough, but it's going to work. This is mine. I'm not selling it, not giving away, so I can make it how I want to. And that's just what I did. This was just a throw together thing to take to my daughter's house. So I have ADHD so bad, it's not funny. And I don't really watch secular television, okay? I do watch some YouTube videos and preaching and things like that. But I don't watch TV, and I wasn't about to sit there all day doing nothing, because, it wasn't my house. So it was awkward. So I had to take something for me to do. Okay. So that's why I threw this together and just decided to video it for y'all in case you wanted to make one. Who knows? You might travel somewhere. I'm sure I'll use this like when I go to teach the girls at the church and whatnot. So you see my interfacing is not the size of the fabric, and that's a good thing. I don't want it that size, y'all. I have got my Jesus jam going, and I'm like, I'm I look like I gotta go to the bathroom. Oh my gosh, y'all! I'm telling you, this is just one of my work days. Just when I'm in here piddling and just trying to get something done. I'm so sorry. This is cracking me up. You might not even want to watch this. I don't know. I'm so sorry. If you don't want to watch it, then just seek a Mosai and pass me on by. I don't know. But it's funny if you ask me. So I'm going to lay this down and I'm going to move you over there. I didn't have no room. So I'm going to lay this down and I'm going to use this piece as my pattern. And yeah, listen, I'm cracking myself up. I've got a little piece of metal that came with my X tool, and I'm going to see if it's magnetized, because if it is, I'm going to get it and put it under here, but if it's not, then I'm going to get me a piece of metal and put under here from Lowe's, because I needed my magnets for cutting my plastic patterns. I was shifting everywhere, so just use my yeah, I'm going to get a piece of metal to put on here so I can take some magnets. Ooh. I'm going to take 2 pieces of leftover fabric that came when I trimmed this down, or that I got when I trimmed this down. And I think they're about 4 to 4.5 inches. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these and I'm going to make handles. Okay. I want one on one end and one on the other, because I will be folding this in half and it's going to be a little square I'm going to carry around. It's lightweight. So I'm going to fold it over on one side, fold it over on the other side, fold it in the middle, and that's going to be my handle. Okay. So what I'm going to do, excuse me, is I'm going to iron one side down, and I didn't measure this. That's why I said it's about 4 to 4.5 inches, and I don't even know how long they are. I told y'all I'm flying by the seat of my pants. I'm just winging it here, but they're long enough where I can fold it over and have a handle. I know that much. So you know what kind of handle you want on your little tote thing here. So make it as long as you want it. You can make them long and throw it over your shoulder like a big square purse. I don't know. But this is just big enough to make me a handle, okay? Sorry I'm not so descriptive. Oh, goodness, help me, Lord. Now I'm just going to take these and I'm going to place them. I do know they're about 4.5. I counted 4.5 and placed one down. And I pinned it. And you want to make sure that you turn it like that right there. And don't twist it. And I'm going to go 4.5 over and put it on the half mark. And then I'm just going to go baste these on. And that's just putting just a little simple stitch across the edges and put my handles on. I also realized that I needed something to hold my mat in. So I'm going to take a contrasting piece, which is this is the piece that the outside. And I'm just going to place it in a corner, and I'm going to be cutting little triangles. These are like picture corners. You know, when you used to do scrapbooking, or if you did scrapbooking, you have these little photo corners that you slide your photo in. So that's what I'm doing. And these are just going to be little pockets, and it's going to hold my mat in just like that right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this square, or this triangle, and I'm going to place it on this fabric, and I'm going to cut 4 sets of triangles. Okay. That's just going to be 2 each, and we'll sew them together and make our corners. All right. So all I had to do was sew my triangles together on the long side, and I'm only going to sew the long side on 2 of them. Now the other 2, I have to sew another side because I'm going to have to stitch it down on a piece that's already stitched, so you can't leave the raw edges. So I'm going to have to leave 2 open and sew 2. You'll see here in a minute. See, I'm going to place these right here. So if you have raw edge and raw edge, you only need to sew 1 edge. I hope I'm making sense. So I'll put 1 of these here and 1 down on the bottom. But you see where I just put my hand? I have that already sewn together. So in order to put them on there, I'm going to have to sew 1 more side. So it'll be a closed edge and a closed edge. And then that 3rd one will be a raw edge that I'll pin to the top of the fabric. You'll see in just a minute. Okay, so here's what I'm talking about. See, I have a little, like a cone hat, like a gnome hat or something. So I gotta put that sewn edge down, and I'm gonna have to measure where my mat will go in. Okay, see, I'm gonna have to put it where my mat will be able to slide in that pocket. So I gotta leave a seam allowance for my little mat to slide in, and it looks like a 1/2 inch. That's what it looks like. I'm doing a 1/2 inch over from my seam. But I left a good seam there, so yeah. So I'm going to put those on both corners, and then I'm going to stay stitch them down on there. And I'm going to do just like I did the other ones and just put a stitch in them to hold them on there. That way I don't have to worry about them later. Okay, so you see I have my corners stitched down. I'm going to put right sides of my fabric together. Okay. Make sure your handles are on the inside and out of the way. And I'm just going to match this up the best I can. Actually, it came out perfect. So, yeah, it wasn't the best I can. I'm going to match this up. I had a win-win, y'all. It don't always happen that way. But I'm going to match up my seams, okay? When I match up my seams, I want to put right sides together, and I'm going to lay this open. So what I mean is take your seams, spread them out, and lay them flat, and this will help it not be so bulky. That way when you sew it. Now you may have to push one under the presser foot and the other one glide under, but you know what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to take my pins and I'm going to pin this all the way around. Now I'm going to take this to my machine and I'm going to sew a 1/2 inch all the way around. Maybe not a 1/2 inch. I don't know. Y'all know me. Normally I put my needle to the left and sew with that all the way to the left. Now I want this tight because that is going to fit right in there and it's going to slide in like a pillow in a pillowcase. Y'all know some pillowcases is tight and you can't hardly get your pillow in there. Depends on what size pillow you buy. But I want this tight because I don't want it slipping around. So I'm going to go and I'm going to sew all the way around. I'm going to leave that side open. I'm going to leave one end totally open. Y'all, I'm going to have to do hand sewing, and I do not like hand sewing. But I'm going to sew all the way around and just leave one end open. Y'all, I almost forgot that I have got to put that piece in there. This is doubled over too. This is 2 pieces. I really want this stiff. So I'm going to take this on the back side of this once I get untangled. And I am going to lay that down. And I'm going to make sure that I have that at the bottom. And like I said, you do not have to have this wide of a bottom piece. So, yeah. I just thought with the thickness of the ironing surface that it would, you know, have to have more down there to make it not be pulled so hard when you close it. But anyway, I'm going to spray the fire out of this thing, and then I'm going to stick it right center in that fabric, leaving room for my seam allowance. So this right here is not going to move. It's going to be stitched in there, but I really don't stitch over that. So, you know, you don't have to have a heavy duty machine to do this. Just cut this down 1/2 inch because that's what our seam allowance is. I see it right now. So I'm going to use a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And so I'm just going to lay that down, center it as best as I can, and then go do my stitching around it. That way when I fold it inside out, this will be on the inside, not sticking out on the outside. I'm also going to sew down that line right there. Now I'm just going to take where I left it open to shove the thing down in, and I'm going to turn it inside out, that hole right there. Or right side out. I say that every time. I don't know when I'm going to learn. I'm going to turn it right side out. And then I'm going to use a pokey tool and poke my corners out. When I have it all turned right, that's bowed up right there. So I'm just going to take and I use my hand to go in there and smooth everything down. And I'm going to give it a good press. Okay? And I'm going to press all my seams down. Okay, moment of truth. Let me cool this down after ironing and see if this bad boy fits. So I'm going to tuck it in and then bend it slightly. I didn't have to bend it much, and tuck it in. And oh my goodness, it's perfect. It's perfect. Yay. Okay, now I'm going to take this back out. And that way I don't have to worry about it, you know, when I got to stick this thing in there. And y'all, I'm going to give you a prime example of how to use your body parts. I'm going to have to put this in, and then I'll curve it under. And I'm going to hand sew this, okay? And the reason I said use your body parts, I'm going to have to use something to help to push this in. But I'm going to iron this, okay? So I'm going to iron it over. Do not let your iron touch the inside of that gray material because it will melt to your iron. I don't know why it does it, but it will do it, okay? So now I wanted to show you that I did sew a stitch along those edges, or that's the middle, and that I figured would help it crease, but you really do not need that much, okay? So now we have to slide this in, and even though I fused it all together, what is my saying? It's bigger on one side than is the other. It's a tight fit is what I was trying to say. It's a tight fit. So here's where you're going to see me using my body parts because this thing is so tight that I have to push. I'm using my fat roll to push this in. I got to get it started. I got to figure out which end goes which. One side's too tight. You can't get it in that way. Okay. So let me maneuver it in. And you can sew this bigger if you want to make yours slide in easier. I wanted mine to fit tight. So, yeah, I'm struggling with it. This is my fault, and that's what I did. But I'm using like I said, I'm using my chubby there to push and push it up in there. Whatever works, guys. I don't care. I got it in. So now I'm trying to smush down the wool blanket. Okay. And I love using wool blankets because it's like using a wool mat, a wool pressing mat. It's wonderful. I'm going to push and maneuver and dance or whatever I'm doing to get this in there, okay? I am so goofy. There's my spots I told you not to judge me on because this is used. I'm telling you, I had it for a long time. Long time. But right now I'm just pulling that fabric around that board to get it, to have an edge where I can sew it. Because right now the fabric is down, so you've really got to pull it to get it up. And then I'm pushing that back down. Y'all don't have to see all this. I'll show you what I'm going to do in a second. Okay, so right here, I'm really going to have to stretch it. And I do not like hand sewing. I detest it. So you're going to get strong button thread or something like that. I'm not trusting normal thread. And I'm just going to whip stitch it right along through here. I don't like it, but I have to because you can't get wood under a machine. There it is. There's my fancy whip stitch. You can do a better job than that. It's for me. So, and I did put 2 snaps on each handle. I put 1 snap on each handle, and that way it holds it and makes sure it's sealed shut. And then, of course, all you have to do is unsnap it, fold it out, snap it back up, and it's easy and lightweight to carry. Y'all, this worked so perfect. I'm not even kidding. If I didn't make this, I would have had to carry an ironing board and possibly crack my mat. But that right there, I was telling you, you didn't have to make that wide. But it worked out great. If y'all make one, be sure to post it in my Facebook group. I'd love to see what y'all create. And until next time, thank you for watching. And remember, you are a blessing. Goodbye.